The day Sam turned 18, the system let him go without ceremony. No goodbye party, no safety net, just a worn duffel bag, a thin jacket, and $120 folded in his pocket. The social worker gave him a tight smile. Good luck out there. Out there. Sam stepped into the biting Midwest winter, the kind that cuts straight through fabric and into bone. The sky was a dull gray, and the wind howled down the street like it had somewhere better to be. If I mess this up, there's nowhere left to go, he thought. By late afternoon, his fingers were numb, his stomach empty, and his options running thin. He ducked into an alley to block the wind, pulling his jacket tighter. That's when a crumpled piece of paper skidded across the pavement and hit his boot. He picked it up. Farm equipment auction, today only. Something about it stuck. An hour later, Sam found himself standing at the edge of a muddy lot, packed with pickup trucks, diesel fumes, and loud voices. Men in work jackets laughed, argued, and sized up machinery like they'd done it their whole lives. Sam felt completely out of place. Then he saw it. A rusted-out tractor, tires flat, paint peeling, looking like it hadn't moved in decades. Something in his chest tightened. It's junk, he told himself. Kid, you lost? The voice came from a tall man in a heavy coat, Bartholomew Creel, judging by the embroidered name on his chest. His grin was sharp. You thinking about buying that? Creel nodded toward the tractor. That thing's scrap metal. A few guys nearby chuckled. Sam's grip tightened around the cash in his pocket. They're right. This is stupid. He turned to leave. Took one step. Stopped. And then what? Freeze tonight? Starve tomorrow? The wind cut across his face again. Sam turned back. His heart pounded as he raised his hand. $90. For a split second, the crowd went quiet. Then the laughter came. But Sam didn't hear it this time, because for the first time since walking out that door, he wasn't drifting anymore. He had made a choice. By the time the tow truck dropped the tractor off at the edge of a public lot near the tree line, the sun was already sinking. Kid, you sure about this? The driver asked, eyeing the rusted machine. Sam just nodded. He didn't trust his voice anymore. The truck pulled away, taillights fading into the gray dusk, leaving him alone with a dead tractor and a whole lot of silence. The cold hit harder out here. No buildings to block the wind, no streetlights, just open land, frozen dirt, and trees that creaked like they were alive. Sam got to work. He dragged together scraps of wood, tied a cheap blue tarp between the tractor and a bent metal post, and built himself something that barely qualified as shelter. That night, the temperature dropped fast. Wind pushed under the tarp, snow crept in from the sides, and Sam lay curled on the ground, shivering uncontrollably. This was a mistake. The next morning, he woke up stiff and aching, breath fogging in the air. But he didn't leave. Instead, he started walking. Every day, Sam made the same long trip into town, past gas stations, diners, and people who didn't look twice at him, until he reached the public library. It was warm there, quiet, safe. He pulled books on small engine repair, farming equipment, anything he could understand. He didn't get all of it, not even close, but he kept reading. Back at the lot, reality hit harder. The tractor wasn't just old, it was wrecked. A key gear inside the transmission was completely cracked, useless. Without it, the whole machine might as well have been a sculpture. Sam stared at it for a long time. Of course, he muttered. Of course it's worse than I thought. He started scavenging, behind repair shops, near junkyards, anywhere people tossed broken parts. Sometimes he found something useful. Most days, he didn't. Once, a shop owner caught him digging through a scrap pile. "Hey, get out of here," the man shouted, waving him off like a stray dog. Sam ran. That night, he had nothing to eat. Days blurred together. Cold mornings, long walks, frustrating nights. His hands were always shaking now, part cold, part exhaustion. Then, one night, everything snapped. Sam was trying to fit a salvaged gear into place, but it wouldn't sit right. He forced it, clanged loudly against the metal frame. Damn it! He slammed the wrench down and kicked the side of the tractor. The sound echoed into the empty dark. I can't do this, he said, voice breaking. This is pointless. He sank down into the snow, breathing hard, eyes burning. You're gonna freeze out here. You're gonna starve. And for what? This pile of junk? For a long time he didn't move. Then slowly he pushed himself up. Forget it, he whispered. He turned to walk away. His hand brushed the seat as he passed. He froze. The metal felt different, not warm exactly, but not as cold as everything else. Sam frowned and pressed his palm against it again. What? It didn't make sense. Nothing out here should feel like that. He stood there, staring at the tractor, then let out a long breath. One more try, he said quietly. That night, a storm rolled in. Wind howled through the trees, snow whipping sideways under the tarp. Sam worked through it anyway, took the assembly apart, adjusted, refit, tried again and again and again. His fingers were numb, his vision blurred. His body screamed at him to stop, but he didn't. He couldn't. Then, a spark, a cough from the engine. Sam froze. No way. He tried again. The engine sputtered, shook, then suddenly roared. The sound ripped through the storm. Loud, alive, real. Heat spread from the engine block, cutting through the brutal cold. Sam staggered back, staring. Then he laughed, a shaky, disbelieving laugh. And just as quickly, it turned into something else. Tears, hot against frozen skin. Not because he fixed the tractor, but because, for the first time since stepping out into the world, he hadn't given up. Word didn't spread overnight. It started small. A woman from the edge of town saw Sam clearing snow with that rattling old tractor and flagged him down. How much you charge? She asked, arms crossed against the cold. Sam hesitated. He hadn't thought that far ahead. $20? She raised an eyebrow. You do a clean job. I'll give you 30. He nodded. Deal. He worked until his hands went numb again. But this time, it wasn't for survival. It was for something new. Progress. More calls followed. Driveways, back roads, barn entrances buried in snow. People didn't trust the tractor at first. It looked like it might fall apart any second. But it didn't, because Sam didn't let it. Every night he tuned it, tightened bolts, adjusted parts, learned more. The library books turned into real skill. Trial turned into instinct. And slowly, people stopped seeing him as the kid with junk and started seeing him as the guy who could fix things. By spring, Sam wasn't sleeping under a tarp anymore. He rented a small room above a hardware store. Nothing fancy, but warm. He bought better tools, started taking on repair jobs, engines, harvesters, anything with moving parts. He didn't know everything, but he knew how to figure things out. And that was enough. What changed the most wasn't his situation. It was his mindset. Sam didn't forget what it felt like to be ignored, dismissed, looked down on. But instead of hardening him, it sharpened something else. A quiet kind of discipline. A grounded kind of empathy. No one owes you a shot. But if you get one, you better not waste it. Then one afternoon, a black pickup rolled into his lot. Clean, expensive, out of place. Sam wiped his hands on a rag and stepped outside. The door opened, and out stepped Bartholomew Creel. For a second, neither of them spoke. Creel looked older, tired even. The edge in his expression was still there, but dulled. "I heard you're the one fixing machines around here now," he said. Sam leaned against the workbench. "That's what people say." Creel nodded once, then got straight to it. "My harvest equipment's down. All of it. Middle of planting season." He exhaled sharply. "I've had 3 mechanics look at it. Nobody can fix it." Silence stretched between them. Sam studied him. This was the man who laughed at him, the man who called him crazy, who made him feel like nothing. This was the moment he could say no, could send him away, could even enjoy it. Instead, Sam asked, "What's the issue?" Creel blinked, just slightly. "Transmission failure. Something's off in the system. Won't engage right." Sam nodded slowly. "Bring it in," he said. Creel hesitated. "That's it?" Sam shrugged. "I'm not doing it for you," he said calmly. "I'm doing it for the land. Crops don't care about pride." For the first time, Creel didn't have a response. The job took 2 days, long hours, careful work, no shortcuts. Sam figured it out, like he always did. When the engine finally ran smooth again, Creel stood there, watching, almost humbled. "You're good," he admitted. Sam didn't smile, he just nodded. "It runs. That's what matters." As Creel drove off, Sam stood there for a moment, hands resting on his own old tractor. The same one. Still worn, still loud, still his. That day, Sam realized something important. Success wasn't just about proving people wrong. It was about choosing not to become like them, even when you finally could. By the time summer rolled in, Sam had settled into a rhythm. Work during the day, repairs at night, quiet meals, early mornings. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. And for the first time in his life, steady felt like enough. One evening after finishing a long day at the shop, Sam rolled his old tractor into the garage for a full teardown. Not because it was broken, because he trusted it too much not to check it. He had learned that the hard way. Machines didn't fail all at once. They warned you, quietly. You just had to listen. He worked methodically, removed the panels, checked the belts, cleaned the engine housing. Everything looked solid, better than it had any right to be. Then he got to the seat. Sam paused. There it was again, that same odd detail from months ago. A seam that didn't quite match the rest, a section of metal just slightly different in tone. And underneath it all, a faint memory. That night. The storm. The warmth. He leaned closer, running his fingers along the edge. "Yeah, something's off," he muttered. Grabbing a small pry tool, Sam carefully worked at the seam. At first, nothing. Then, a subtle shift, a dull crack. The metal gave way. Beneath it was a hidden compartment. Small, sealed tight. And inside, a tin box. Sam stared at it for a long moment before opening it. Inside, wrapped in cloth, were gold coins. Real ones. Heavy. Worn. Valuable. "You've got to be kidding me." He let out a quiet breath, heart starting to race. Under the coins, there was more. A folded map and a leather-bound notebook, edges frayed with age. Sam picked up the notebook, sat down, opened it. The handwriting was uneven, but deliberate. The name on the inside cover read, Alistair Vaughan. The first few pages talked about land, crops, weather patterns. Then the tone shifted. "I used to believe that helping people was enough." Sam's brow furrowed. He kept reading. "I gave loans with no interest, shared my harvest, took in men who had nowhere else to go." A pause in the writing. The ink darker, pressed harder into the page. "They took everything." Sam swallowed. Trust is a strange thing. You don't notice it leaving until there's nothing left to hold on to. The entries grew shorter after that, colder, more distant, until the final pages. If you are reading this, then you've done what no one else could. Sam's grip tightened slightly. You brought the machine back to life. This is not a reward. It is a question. Sam leaned back slightly, eyes scanning the final lines. I hid what I had left, where only effort, not luck, could reach it. Not for the clever, not for the rich, but for the one who refuses to walk away. Silence filled the garage. Only the soft ticking of cooling metal broke it. Sam closed the notebook slowly, looked down at the coins, then at the map, then at the tractor. All this time, it had been there, not waiting to be found, waiting to be earned. He exhaled, long and steady. Guess you weren't done teaching, huh? He said quietly. Because deep down, Sam understood something now. This wasn't about money. Not really. It was about what came next, and who he would choose to be now that he finally had a choice. Sam didn't rush. That surprised him the most. For years, everything had been urgent: food, warmth, survival. Every decision had been about right now. But standing there in that quiet garage, holding a past someone else had buried, he slowed down, because this wasn't about getting out anymore. He already had. This was about what kind of man he'd become now that he could choose. He sold a portion of the gold. Carefully, quietly. No headlines. No sudden lifestyle change. Just enough. Enough to start a small, low-key fund that helped local farmers stay afloat when seasons turned bad. No names attached. No credit taken. Just help. The map led him to a stretch of land a few counties out. Fertile. Untouched. Overlooked. Sam bought it. Not all for himself. He built a modest home, a working farm, but left a large section open. Not for profit. For opportunity. A few years later, a teenager showed up at his property. Skinny. Nervous. Carrying everything he owned in a single bag. Sir, I heard you sell land cheap. Sam studied him for a moment. There it was again. That same look. The one he used to see in the mirror. Sam nodded toward the field. You can have a piece of it, he said, but only if you believe you can turn it into something. The kid hesitated. What if I fail? Sam gave a small, knowing smile. Then you'll learn something most people never do. A pause. Just don't walk away too early. Years passed. The farm grew. So did the people around it. And right in the center of it all sat an old rusted tractor. Cleaned, preserved, untouched. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the fields, Sam rested his hand on its metal frame. Still cool, still solid. He closed his eyes for a moment. That $90 decision hadn't just bought a machine. It had bought him time, struggle, growth, and a question he would carry for the rest of his life. When you finally get your chance, what will you do with it? So let me ask you, what would you have done in his place? Would you have walked away that night? Or would you have stayed just one more time? If this story meant something to you, if it made you think, even for a second, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next story.